Graduates, parents, family and friends, fellow faculty and distinguished guests, welcome to the University of Delaware Philosophy Department Convocation Ceremony. I'm Alan Fox, Professor of Asian and Comparative Philosophy and Religion, and a member of our department's undergraduate committee. So it's my profound honor and pleasure to welcome you to this celebration of accomplishment. Though we deeply regret not being able to celebrate in person, we feel it's critically important not to minimize or overlook the turning point that you've reached today. We are here to honor your accomplishments, and I assure you that no one knows better than the faculty what you've accomplished by graduating today with a philosophy degree from the University of Delaware. We have been in your corner since you arrived here, and we've been rooting for you the whole time. At this point, we take a totally undue amount of pride in your accomplishments because you really deserve all the credit for your own success. You've worked very hard to get to this point. You've grown up intellectually, emotionally, and spiritually as we've watched. We're proud of you and proud for you and your families and friends, and we wish you all the best of luck as you move on to the next phase in your adventure. Hopefully, one thing that you've learned is to take responsibility for formulating and acting on your own ideas and values, because this is what it means to be an adult, and an informed citizenry which is capable of thinking and acting rationally is clearly the cornerstone of any successful democracy. Please remember that the best questions often lead to better questions rather than to answers, and that there is always more to any situation than meets the eye. These days in the information age, even though there's no way we can provide you with all the information you'll need in the future, we're nevertheless hopeful that you've learned how to critically evaluate the quality and sources of the information you do come across along the way. It's better to have questions that can't be answered than answers that can't be questioned. On a personal note, I want to thank my own students for inspiring me and for making me a better teacher. For as every teacher knows, since every student is different, every student is another opportunity to learn how to teach. One last request. Please do keep in touch and let us know what you're up to and in what ways we can continue to be of help to you as you continue on your path. The teacher-student relationship demonstrates what physicists call quantum entanglement. Once in contact, always in contact. So we remain committed to your continued success and will always be interested in where you go from here. I want to emphasize again that we just feel delighted today for all of you. We congratulate you for what you've accomplished so far and wish you the best of luck for what you're bound to accomplish in the future. Thanks.
Hello, graduates, families, and friends. On behalf of the faculty of the Philosophy Department, let me congratulate you, graduates, on the conclusion of your undergraduate studies and your receipt of the BA. We're all proud of you, and you've earned the right to be proud of yourself as well. Well, here you are, having completed a major chosen by less than 0.5% of US students. So we know at least that you aren't boringly ordinary. Still, when you're out of step with the society around you, as you manifestly are, in virtue of majoring in philosophy, it can occasion concern about whether your activities are worthwhile. Why would one major in philosophy rather than English or history, biology or mathematics, or in these more economically anxious times, biotechnology, physical therapy, engineering, fashion merchandising, or hotel and restaurant management? The answers we usually give appeal primarily to the instrumental value of studying philosophy. Serious study of philosophy, it is said, will teach you how to think. What does that mean, you ask? Presumably it's shorthand for the claim that studying philosophy will enable you to analyze complicated problems, reason and write clearly and cogently, assess the evidence for or against various claims, and find the fundamental questions in a given area of inquiry. So the study of philosophy is said to be valuable because it imparts these very general skills which are useful in a wide variety of careers in the so-called real world. Of course, these skills are only generally practically advantageous. As your family and friends probably already know, philosophers can also sometimes be a distinctive kind of pain in the ass. Socrates was put to death by his fellow Athenians, after all. So you do have to be judicious about how you deploy your distinctive philosophical skills. I don't advise pointing out to your boss his invalid arguments, asking your angry significant other if they mean to be proposing necessary or sufficient conditions, or providing a new parent with the argument that it's wrong to have children. Unless you're independently wealthy, you'll have to make a living in some way after your studies. Philosophers do pretty well in that realm, and that suggests that they do have skills of importance in everyday practical endeavors. I say suggests because honesty requires me to note that correlation isn't causation, even though we philosophy professors dearly want it to be in this case. Philosophy majors do very well when it comes to further professional study. Philosophers are amongst the best performing on examinations such as the LSAT, MCAT, and GMAT, the exams required for law school, medical school, and business school, respectively. And philosophy majors have a higher rate of law school admission than history, English, political science, and criminal justice majors. Indeed, surprisingly, they have the highest rate of admission to medical school of any major. On the assumption that admission to these programs tracks likelihood of success in them, philosophy does seem to prepare you well for a wide range of non-philosophical careers. Indeed, even without further study, in purely financial terms, philosophy majors typically do just fine. At mid-career, the median salary for a philosophy major with merely a BA is in the top third of college undergraduate majors, lower than engineering or economics, but higher than chemistry, political science, history, biology, psychology, and, interestingly, business. I have a job, a mortgage, older parents, and kids soon to put through college, and so I am the last one to suggest that practical concerns are not important. And I agree that the study of philosophy is worth doing because it enables one effectively to pursue a wide variety of ends and goals. However, I want to insist that it's also worthwhile independent of its practical impacts. After all, as Aristotle noted, not everything can be worthwhile simply because it's useful. Some things and some activities have to be worthwhile in themselves for anything else to have any value. Philosophy, I want to suggest, is an intrinsically valuable activity simply because it addresses interesting questions of ultimate importance. To illustrate, here's a short list of questions, in no particular order, a majority of which each of you graduates have encountered in your studies. 1. Are there any good reasons to think that God exists? If so, what are those reasons? If not, does that mean religious belief is irrational? Could it be right to believe something merely because of its practical or emotional benefits? 2. What do we really have good reason to believe? Can we know that we aren't just brains in vats for our entire lives? Should we think that our best scientific theories are really true rather than just predictably useful? Could we know about things which weren't in space and time? 3. Are you just a material object, a hunk of flesh and bone and sinew, or are you something more? Could a mere physical object be conscious and have free will? And if we are physical objects, how do we exist while our parts are replaced year after year? Does the notion of free will make any sense? If we lack free will, can people really be held responsible for their actions? 4. What's the nature of morality? Are there really objective facts about morality? If not, does that make moral talk pointless? If so, how can we know what those facts are, and why is there so much disagreement about them? 5. Do our lives have any real meaning or significance? Can they, if there's no God and we only exist briefly and then vanish? Would they, if there were a God and we were to live forever? This list could, as each of you graduates now know, be extended for a very, very long time. I, and I hope you as well, find these and countless other questions endlessly fascinating. And that fact alone, I think, makes them worth study. Even the questions that one despairs of answering definitively. And so, with apologies to my colleagues in other departments, I suggest that a singularly important reason to study philosophy is because it's quite simply the most interesting subject in the world. Philosophical questions also have another aspect. And that aspect is colorfully captured, I think, in a teaching evaluation I received a couple of years ago. The student wrote, "I would not recommend this course because the material can freak you out." I think my unhappy student was on to something. They felt the discomfort and the sense of intellectual and practical vertigo which doing real philosophy can sometimes create, right alongside the intellectual exhilaration. Philosophy can freak you out, and maybe it should, at least a little. That short list of philosophical questions, just rehearsed, reveals that the questions of philosophy are often unsettling, troubling, and strange. This is partly because, I think, in addition to being interesting, they are intensely important in being clearly relevant to what Kant called the three basic questions. What can I know? What should I do? What may I hope for? Not only has your time with these troubling and fascinating questions while studying at the University of Delaware been intrinsically worthwhile, you have received an enduring legacy. Even if you forget, as you will, the precise character and justification of the various answers to these questions, you will retain knowledge that they exist and that they always remain for you to reacquaint yourself with them when time and desire agree. Indeed, I'm here to tell you that once you know about them, you are doomed to return to them, at least occasionally. And whatever else it does for you, it makes your life more interesting and worthwhile. I have to bring these remarks to a conclusion. I wish each of you graduates a successful future after the University of Delaware. May you flourish. May you love and be loved. May you accomplish something of value during your time on this earth. And may your study of philosophy be instrumental in your success and render your life more worthwhile. May you also think occasionally about those problems themselves from time to time in the hustle and bustle of ordinary life, and may you get, at least occasionally, a little freaked out. Thank you. Good luck. Please keep us posted about your lives and your accomplishments. Each year, the Department of Philosophy gives 2 awards to students. This year, on behalf of the entire philosophy faculty, I'd like to congratulate our winners, Carl Nozadze and Avery Fields. Carl is the recipient of this year's Lucia Palmer Prize, awarded to the senior major with the highest GPA in philosophy. Avery is the recipient of this year's Nicholas Fremont Plummer Prize, awarded to the outstanding junior who best embodies the spirit of philosophical inquiry. Congratulations to them both. Every year, the philosophy department has a graduate of our own program speak at our convocation. This year's speaker is David Giuliano, class of 2006, who double majored in philosophy and mathematics with a minor in computer science. During his time at UD, he was a TA for Dr. Rogers' medieval philosophy class and performed regularly with the Rubber Chickens. After graduating, he moved to New York City to pursue live comedy and a career in software engineering. He's worked at a variety of companies from small to large and is currently a senior software engineer at Game Changer, where he works on an app for scoring and streaming youth and amateur sports. He's also written and performed in several sketch comedy shows around the city, primarily at the Upright Citizens Brigade Theater. In his spare time, he plays music, reads, writes, and sometimes paints. So, please join me in welcoming David Giuliano.
Oh, hello. First of all, I'd like to give a special thanks to Dr. Proust for inviting me to have the privilege of speaking with you, and offer my sincerest congratulations to all the philosophy graduates. Graduating with a degree in philosophy is already a remarkable achievement, and doing so through these extraordinary times is especially noteworthy, so I commend you. I do imagine during quarantine that finding plenty of time to read was not a difficulty, so perhaps there was that silver lining. Now, I do want to say a few words about life on the outside, but before putting Descartes before the horse, I'd like to briefly introduce myself. My name is David Giuliano. I'm a 2006 graduate of the University of Delaware Philosophy Department. And while I did not pursue a career in academics after graduating, philosophy has still been a foundational part of my life. If you've chosen to study philosophy, then likely you're someone who really likes to think and to question and to understand the world around them. And studying philosophy basically gives you the greatest thing you can ask for, which is the tools for critical thinking and the perspectives and techniques for applying them. Not only that, philosophers learn to create their own tools and discuss them and critique them with each other. You know, you have some Bertrand Russell comes along and says, hey, I got it. I got the complete list of rules. Done. Check it. You know, and then Kurt Gödel comes along and he's like, nah, sorry, dude, this is incomplete. And any final set of rules is going to be incomplete, which, you know, is the best thing to happen for philosophy. It's doing philosophy, and it's the best thing for philosophy because basically it means there's a never-ending wellspring of knowledge. You know, it's an unending cave of shadows to explore, or to have a less cave-like metaphor, how about an infinite universe of possible worlds to explore? So the point is, if you love to think, there's always plenty to think about. The world, everything you do is basically something to think about. Every book you read, every movie you watch, if you've seen the movie Tenet and you've taken any classes with Dr. Hanley, I'm sure you have a lot to say to your friends about it. Also, you'll find more often than not that people who never studied philosophy are very interested in it and will maybe seek advice about how to learn philosophy. For instance, I do have a couple friends that have asked me about it over the years, and one in particular now has decided to go all the way back to the ancients, and he's studying, you know, Zeno and Parmenides, etc. And I love it because, you know, we can discuss these things together, and I can share that with him, and I still love to discuss it, so it's good to have more people around. But it also shows you that individuals really are interested in this, and in learning and understanding things, which I think is an important thing to realize now, because, you know, the other aspect of the world today is that we're in a very precarious relationship with the truth. I'm sure all you understand this as you, you know, witness the world going on around you. And for instance, they used to say a lie makes it halfway around the world while the truth is getting its pants on. Now a lie is 10 times around the world with, you know, memes and a Facebook page, while the truth has been tied up in the closet and has a, you know, deep fake of it and a social scandal all over Reddit. So this is the world we're trying to deal with now. But even though that is what it's like on a macro scale, and it's something that's serious, you'll find that people on an individual scale really earnestly do want to understand. They don't want to, you know, be bombarded with all this this stuff, and they really want to find a way to find out. And that's where I think learning how to have polite, rational discourse is an important thing, and is going to be one of the most best things about being a philosopher these days. One example of that, I remember, you know, in my days at UD, there was Professors Hanley and Professor Rogers were having a debate on the existence or non-existence of God. And at the beginning of it, I remember that they politely agreed and made a point to say that while they may disagree on the existence of God, they both agree on the non-existence of any other gods. So they already were finding common ground and a starting point. So that's kind of the example that I think we need today. We want to bring that openness and commonality into all the discussion, and philosophy teaches you how to do that, because, you know, there's not just one way to look at things. There's many, and we have to analyze them. We have to write papers and talk about them and make up stories. So I do think that it's a great time to be a philosopher, and you are the missionaries of truth in the world today. It is your responsibility to carry the torch of logical virtue. So that's my advice, and I would just say enjoy everything you do, no matter what path you take. Just carry this light with you. Philosophy is the most important, beautiful thing that we have. And to be honest, I am eternally grateful for all my mentors in that. And so thank you to all the professors at UD, and thank you for listening. So good luck, and carry that torch of truth with you forever. Go forth.
Chase Jacob Cardon, Bachelor of Arts. Joshua Hope Davis, Honors Bachelor of Arts. Dylan James Dombrowski, Honors Bachelor of Arts. Joseph James Dugan, Bachelor of Arts. Misty Elizabeth Fisher, Bachelor of Arts. Nathan Fulham, Honors Bachelor of Arts. Kaiwan Leong, Bachelor of Arts. Weitong Liu, Bachelor of Arts. Edward Vladimir Lyabchenko, Bachelor of Arts. Drew Thomas Mulcahy, Bachelor of Arts. Akaki Nozads, Bachelor of Arts. Eric Schult, Bachelor of Arts. Michael Evan Shahowski, Honors Bachelor of Arts. Honors Bachelor of Science. Jacob Tees, Bachelor of Arts. Charles William Welch IV, Bachelor of Arts. Martin Zellick, Bachelor of Arts.